just start. I'm going to record it like I have so that, those that are not able to be here tonight, but at least also for you to review once we you have that access available to you for this video. And so what I wanted to do real quick, let me go ahead and go and share my screen with you. I did want to kind of go quickly. Let me just go to our first orientation that we did, just so that you can see some of the, it's really been good. I think you got an experience of what it is to see your initial comment and then the replies. I finally today went back and replied to each one of you. You want to go ahead and look at that. What I did want to highlight, just so that in this, like I said, this is not graded, but you do want to pay attention, and this is not everybody, but there you'll see in some of my comments to each one of you, you need to pay close attention, and most of you did this. In what is being asked is, comment on the proposal. So if we look at the proposal of this professor, of Dr. Cardoso-Orlandi, it's talking basically of the video and his book. So I did go back with some and just say, okay, the post was good. You talked about the video, but you didn't really talk about the text. Okay. So you need to be mindful and look at what the question is asking, so that, of course, in this situation, you would have not been, you're not marked for that, marked down, but you would be if you're in a class. You would be marked down if you're not really addressing what the instructor is asking regarding you have the video and the book. So like I said, I've responded to some of you that did, and there are some also that we want you to even go deeper. So you'll notice that for each one of you, I did mainly come back and ask a question, so that it begins to continue the conversation. So I'm not asking you to respond to it, but I want you to get used to that. Another reason why is that when you look at, like, for example, here when I responded to Kenneth, I basically went back and talked about the double identity in the text, and then kind of explain what that he's proposing. But then I go back and pose a question to Kenneth. If you were called to be a missionary at this moment, how would this polycentric view of missions change your approach to missionary work? So now, why am I highlighting this? Because I want you to notice that when we want you to reply to your classmates, it's good that you affirm, and I want you to affirm, but we want you to help engage and move forward the discussion. So you need to begin getting used to looking at what they say in their posts, and then reinterpret what they're saying, and then pose a question. Say, did you mean this? Or what about this? For example, if I see missionary work and God work hand in hand, you can say, that's a good point there. What do you exactly mean that they work hand in hand? So you're wanting more clarification, but what it does, it also helps Kenneth, go deeper with his thinking and his response. So look at what I responded to each one of you. Like for Vonda, you responded, and then I asked the question, because see, you do well in kind of describing what they do in both of the video and the book. But then I want to ask you, how did Cardoso-Orlandi's perspective personally impact you? So that's just an example. Now, when you're going to be in the reply, your reply is going to be more words. I just want you to realize that you do want to, at least in your reply, pose a question ask, for clarification, kind of take what they say and try to interpret it in your own way. And you can say, is that what you meant by when you said this and that? But you want to make sure also that you do follow, in this case, it doesn't tell you how many words it should be in your reply, but in your real course, it will mention how many words as far as your reply. And I think it probably needs to be between 75 to 100 words when you reply. So I think I did this last time. I think I said that this was, if we count it right, I think this was 79 words. So I was in that range of 75 to 100 words of a reply. So this just gives you an example. If your instructor is asking you to give a reply between 75 to 100 words, look at my reply to Kenneth here, because you can see what I do here is I take what he says and I give it an interpretation, right? And then I go and pose a question. I don't know, Dr. Hogan, you want to say anything to that?
Yeah, actually, it's excellent segue into critical thinking, because this is exactly what the discussions are doing. They are developing your critical thinking pattern, because not only are you interpreting what you're reading, but you want to synthesize it. You want to, and we'll probably talk more about that on Thursday on writing and how to take what you think and what you believe and what they're saying, and kind of scribble it on the side so that when you go to respond to the discussion, that you have some thought processes going on. It's not just sort of spitting out or spewing out what the author is saying, but how does it affect you? Does it answer the question? Are there other questions that it might lead to? And even when you're responding to your classmates, your peers, you want to also keep that in mind, that you want to critically think. You don't want to say, oh, that's a good post, but why? And then, and what else could we add to it? Because we all think differently and we all interpret differently. And so that's what the discussions are about, to help us uh, see other points of view and perhaps say, oh, I didn't think about that. Oh, maybe it is. Or you can refute. That's what research is about. So it's excellent. Research is just searching out information that supports, can refute, or answer, or build upon a hypothesis or a statement or a question. And so the discussions are a good way to help you develop that critical thinking process. Does that make sense?
Yes. Hey,
Yes.
June. Welcome.
Hello.
It's good to see
Hi, how
you.
you doing, June?
And same here. Please forgive my lateness.
You're fine. You're fine.
You're good.
Hey, you're good. We'd like to welcome you. Good.
Yeah,
Thank you for joining us.
I think people get kind of overwhelmed with the word research, but we do it all the time. When when I'm shopping, you look at different stores, you look at different items to see the prices and who's
I
making
see.
it and what it's made of. That's researching.
Yeah.
You're just taking it to another level now, because you have to use literature. And the best way to stay away, although the internet is full of information, you have to be able to discern what information is really good. And so the resources are DTL. Stay on that, because you won't get caught up in information that's not correct.
That's right. That's good.
It may look good, but it's not.
Yeah.
And so DTL is going to keep you away from that. Other than the videos that your professor may assign or things like that. And even in the library, they have some. But I would definitely stick to DTL and not navigate outside of that for now, because you're just learning really how to extract this information.
Yep. Very good. So I just want to commend everybody for responding to the post. You guys did well. And you will get more feedback as far as when you're in your class from your instructors, and you'll notice when they do. And I will, and I know that you've tomorrow you'll be submitting by 11:59 your essay. So and then Dr. Hogan and myself will give you feedback on those as well, and that will be something that will be helpful for you. But let's talk make just transition. I just wanted to highlight that on that assignment, and I'm also going to be I'll be replying to your other two that you've done as far as your databases and your quick search, and when I've kind of glimpsed and quickly looked at it, you guys are doing a good job responding to that particular those assignments. And so what's the sense? How are you feeling about navigating Populi and the discussions? And I've had a few of you email me, and we've kind of worked through some glitches or some situations you've been having, and that's normal. So I have no issue with that. So I'm glad you are reaching out. So what's your sense right now up to this point? I know you're just barely getting in. And some of you are just, are tapping your feet into the water. Some of you are going almost ankle deep. Some of you maybe are trying to go to, knee deep. But how's the water feeling for you?
Cold.
Good. You said cold. You didn't say you were freezing. So
No, not freezing.
I'm glad.
No, I wrote to you earlier
Mhm.
because I was just looking over the platform, trying to become familiar with it, and then I can't remember what the heading was, but it was giving me percentages on the introduction, percentages on the different sections that we've already covered, and it made it look like I hadn't done things in different areas, and I was wondering if I missed things.
Yeah.
Do I need to go in a linear pattern? Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Because I felt like, okay, I did everything in for the introduction.
Right.
I did everything for the next section. And so I believe I'm at 3. And then I'm seeing this and I'm like, did I leave things out?
Yeah.
And that's when I reached out to you, because I thought this is not happening.
Yeah,
But
no,
you
I
said
think I mean, well, I'm the one who sets it up. So, I mean, there are ways that I can set up Populi where you can't move to the next section until you complete this section. So it's part of Populi that does that, so the student kind of knows, but I have it all open, so it doesn't matter if you jump around. If you've jumped around, that's probably why it might look like you haven't completed it if you didn't go through it completely, the first part of it. Like if you open an introduction, right? Like say you go into lesson 1 and you see that intro and then you don't really read it and you move on to the next, just because you opened it, I don't think it really lets you, that you have not clicked on every part of that intro. It will probably register as you just did a small percentage of that, but it doesn't limit you to move forward, because I mean, those are some of the reasons it does that. As far as in general, why that would show up. But like I told you, because this is a practice course, it's still, I set it up for an 8-week session, but those 8 weeks don't have anything in them, but it's still kind of Populi is still looking at it from an 8-week setup rather than it being just a week that you're doing as far as assignments. So it's just a thing that they put into the system, but don't concern yourself of it. I would be more concerned when you start getting your grades, and you're like, oh no, I thought I did better, or oh man, I did good. I thought that looked like C work for me, but
but I thought I completed everything in the first
Yeah.
section.
Right.
So that's my question.
Yeah.
I wasn't under the impression that I was jumping around.
Right. No, I'm just kind of giving an explanation why that can happen. So, but like I'm saying to you, don't be worried about that, because the only concern would be if Populi wouldn't let you move on to the next. If you were, for example, I could set it up where every student needs to complete this step before they move to the next, and I didn't do that for any of these courses. So in other words, you don't need to really worry about that at this point, as far as if you see those percentages come up. Let's see. Okay, it's good to Ebony. Good to have you this evening. Very good. But thank you, Colleen. Thank you for reaching out, and I'm always, you know, available. Email me, post it on the bulletin board, and I'll reply back to it. So,
Thank
any
you.
other comments that you've been having regarding populi, and even in going into DTL as well?
Yes, actually one. So I just registered, and I went to assignments just to see what assignments I have.
Yeah.
I noticed some had due dates, but some didn't have due dates.
Right.
So the ones that don't have due dates, do I need to do them right now or when school starts?
Yeah, no, I mean, so you're in the 2-week advance orientation, so it's meant to be completed during the orientation period. So go
Okay.
ahead and start just doing the assignments. And I know that you have one due tomorrow, which is, so I would say to you, if you just came in, I would work on the essay and you can backtrack on the others.
Okay.
And we can be in touch, and I can actually guide you through those other assignments as far as you know, if there's any questions that you do have, because I know that I think I did see you did work on the first assignment, which was the discussion.
Mm-hmm.
I saw your comment there, and I responded to your comment. So you've done that one. The essay would be for that first orientation is due tomorrow, 11:59 p.m. Eastern time, which would be the
Okay.
second assignment for that tutorial, which is the first one. The second tutorial, which is the library, those were due last week, but you know, again, those are to help you practice using the library. But
Okay.
we can work on those after you do the essay.
Okay.
We'll talk about that. So don't worry about those right now, because I want you to focus on the essay part.
Right.
Then you'll
Okay.
keep it with everybody else. Okay.
And the format, Dr. Novelis, you
Yes.
did a wonderful job. You opened up everything for them. So if you look at the pages that Dr. Novelis developed, it will really help you in your essay,
Okay.
because he has outlined the format for you. We'll go over it again on Thursday, but everything is there. And you've even highlighted areas to pay attention to critique. So I would definitely look at it, and you can even copy and paste his format
Yes.
on your Word document so that your format would be correct.
I'm going to
Okay.
show you guys that right now.
Mhm.
But yes, thank you, yeah, for highlighting that, and we'll look at that
Yeah, you've
together.
done everything. I was like, this is great. You guys have no idea.
Well, yeah, I mean, like we've talked about it, and Dr. Hogan and I have talked about it, and you guys are living it right now, is as much as we can be of a help to normalize all the stress, you know, within the course and the courses, because you already have stressors outside of NSBT. You know, we want to try to make things, you know, more streamlined and as user-friendly as possible. So any questions that you had on orientation 3? We're going to look at it right now, but that you did as you went through the video.
No.
Orientation 3 is the databases?
No, orientation 3 was the research and writing.
Okay.
All right, let me open that up, and as we look at the stuff, I think some other things will start to emerge, and maybe you want to ask at that point. So let me go into our populi, and when we go into the research and writing, in lessons here, the orientation, I believe, covers the first 3, if I'm not mistaken, of the video of these lessons. So basically, in this first one, you know, what I do here is give us just an intro of what you will expect in this tutorial as you go into a graduate program you know, what kind of outcomes you can see that this, you know, doing this master's at New School of Biblical Theology. So, you know, how would the program change me as an individual? And so pretty much what we want to see happen in your research writing is that we hope and we believe that as you progress in your research and writing, that you'll some of these concepts, you know, you can spend time looking at, but these are some of the things that we want to see as, for example, the concepts of writing. Students should understand that writing is a process and a series of choices, and not simply a product, you know. I mean, it'd be nice, right? Sometimes we want to just get in the zone and you know, in one stroke and in a period of an hour or two, be able to write those 300 to 600 words for that post. And it usually doesn't happen that way. You know, there's a lot of more time that puts into that, but it's a process and you make choices, and that's what, and you can look at those more specific, the writing process skills. Students should understand and attend to the role of the audience in writing. And sometimes that's another thing that your instructors will give you feedback, and I do give a lot of feedback to my students, is sometimes we can't assume that when you're writing that your audience knows what you mean when you're writing. So you need to also think of who you're writing for, you know, and who it is that you're, and sometimes the instructor will give you cues to that in the questions when you read them. So reading and thinking skills, these are some other things that you might want to look at when you're in this whole process. Like Dr. Hogan just mentioned, students should be challenged to develop critical thinking and reading skills. And that's kind of the thing that we're doing when you look at your discussions and you look at your essays. We're helping this area of your skills to come to the forefront, so that they can devise original ideas rather than just simply echo the ideas of others. And that's the whole point, is that, you know, at this level, you're not undergrad level. What undergrad level is more about kind of giving back what you've read, and sometimes there's a push to be critical in your thinking in the undergrad, but definitely at the graduate level, this is where you are to begin to develop more of the critical thinking and ability in your reading. And then research skills as well. You'll notice that in this, we want students to acquire research skills, including making full and meaningful use of the digital theological library, resources such as quick search, advanced search, and you know, basically the different functions within DTL. And then also, as you can look at the other things that, you know, support your ideas with your persuasive research, learn how to evaluate the credibility of source. But like Dr. Hogan said, DTL already kind of helps you in that process to not be so concerned about Wikipedia. If you're using Wikipedia, you're going to get marked up and it's not considered graduate level work in that regard. So you need to know the difference of sources. And then here, students will learn or should learn the correct formatting of Chicago Manual style. So part of this video tutorial that orientation 3 in this tutorial is to introduce you to this whole idea of formatting within this manual style. Dr. Hogan, do you want to add anything more to that?
Let me unmute. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I thought, did I mute her?
No, I did, because I was coughing. And they talk about the updated 17th edition, but you don't need to update because you are starting with the 17th edition. So you don't have to worry about that. And a big part of the research is the formatting. Yeah. And so you have to be mindful of what your professors ask. You have the manual and you use it. And next week we can show you where the paragraphs, if you're looking for a particular formatting issue, you have a particular formatting issue, then you can go to that paragraph and section and it'll take you right there. Yeah. So that you can read it and understand it. But I used to tell my students all the time, the manual is your academic Bible. Yep. You cannot get through the classes without it. Yep. They have what they call cheat sheets which help you, and there are a lot here on the website that you can use, But that manual, you have to keep near you.
Yeah.
I always tell you, a manual and a dictionary,
Yes.
because when you're reading, if you don't understand what you're reading, you're going to miss the entire point
Yeah.
and not be able to critique what it is you need to critique.
Mm-hmm.
So
Exactly.
manual and a dictionary, those are your best friends during the courses.
You know, now if you move to the, basically I moved to this next lesson,
Mhm.
which is the graduate level writing, right? So when you think of graduate level writing, what's that gonna look like? And basically I put it in terms of Dr. Bernard's whole idea of, you know, we are about doing ministry, you know, in our faith, in our culture and in society. So what that then tends to be, if you look at it in terms of how this is described within our discipline, then it means basically that you and I, and in this program, you are being developed into being contextual theologians. What are theologians? Basically thinkers of God. We think about God is basically, I know we get all you get all hung up on this term, but really it means thinking about God, and that's, you know, articulating about God. That's what a theologian and a scholar. I know when I've had students come through NSBT and when they look at this, but I'm just, you know, I'm just a layperson. I said, well, you know, I mean, I think this is the whole reason God's kind of got your attention if you entered this program is that, yes, but now I want to form you into this thinker that thinks contextually about me in this society and in this culture. And to be a scholar, basically, you know, your level of graduate writing and being a professional, you know, you're going to say, oh, I'm going to be a scholar. Yes, that's the whole process that you're in. And so it takes you a while to even wrap that around your head. And I know that's been a challenge for other cohorts and some of your other colleagues in other cohorts, but that's the reality of what's happening. So this kind of gives you from the front end what it's going to look like by the time you finish this program. So and when you're going to realize as you go in through these courses, you're going to realize, wow, this material is so deep, so rich, is because we're making the leap, right? That transition, that move to being contextual theologians. And basically, when you read this, there are different models when we talk about interaction of faith and culture that contextual theologians and practitioners get themselves involved in. And I actually give you the text, and you can even find this text within, this got in my way, within DTL. If you click on this, it'll take you to that book, and you could always, when you have time, you can say, when do I have time? But when you can actually look at what these models are, you know, and basically in that whole book, some of you may be using some of these models and you don't even realize
They
that
don't even know
are,
it. Yes.
you know, and it's good to realize that you already are doing this. It's just we are putting it in ways that you can see yourself already as the outcome of this program is that you are, now you can say to your friends or even to your family, you know what, I'm a contextual theologian. At least God's calling me to be a contextual theologian, contextual scholar, contextual practitioner, where God has put you as far as in ministry. And then I give you kind of what these courses are going to help you when you look at academic papers. You know, you're going to basically, these are the things that you're going to be doing. You're going to be reviewing and discussing scholarly literature. How do I do that? Let me just tell you, those discussions that you're doing, that's kind of doing reviewing and discussing the scholarly literature. That's what you end up doing, those discussions. You just looked at Cardoso Orlandi. He's a scholar and his literature is scholarly. And so what you just finished doing without you realizing, you're already doing this. Reviewing, discussing scholarly literature. And that's what you're going to be doing. Synthesize theories, models, and course readings. That's part of it. Present critical analysis, research, and scholarly insight in an objective manner. That's going to be a process. We're going to help you. That's why Dr. Hogan is here. That's why I'm here. We will help you make those adjustments, because you know, you can expect, like I said, this is an outcome. When to become this, it's a process that you're going to end up being able to critically analyze and research and synthesize. And now as well, it's going to take you time to learn the standards of Chicago and Turabian, those manuals, those academic Bibles that you need, and are written in the scholarly voice. I'm not going to go into these because I don't want to take more time, but there's do's and don'ts of what the scholarly voice is. It's basically telling you, and here's some resources of, you know, in your writing, how do you present yourself as a scholar? So this is good format, places where you can understand what that means. I even give you the do's of scholarly writing, you know, use proper syntax, follow the rules of punctuation, include references, citation, proofread. And so as you begin to do this, you're already, I mean, if you do this, then you are already in that path. Now you don't, some of the things is helping us move away from habits that we have. And these are some of the habits that in writing tend to be there. And Dr. Hogan has others that she will highlight and help you as she helps us in this process. But these are a couple here. Don't write in the second person narrative. Don't rely on software to correct your writing. There are good software out there, but you're always good to review your stuff or have someone review it for you. And those are things there. Where I want to land finally is here. And this is where I believe I stopped in that first orientation, in the first part of research and writing. And this is like what Dr. Hogan said is, this is what you need to have, these manuals. And you could either do the online one, which I think if you do a subscription for $40, you have it for a whole year. And then you can renew it again. But if you like the hard copy, you can go ahead and purchase these as well. I have both, so that's kind of helpful.
I purchased them.
Yeah.
I
So
purchased them because I need paper to
yeah.
tabs in. I know certain areas that I need to go through all the time. I just put a tab in. And Amazon has them. It's an investment. It is a really good investment for you.
And you'll use them throughout the whole
So much.
program. So so this is something that, you know, you always refer back to. And in these pages, I basically go into the citation formatting. That's the first page. This is where you're going to use these tips on formatting a paper. This is really nice. And these are tip sheets, and I showed you in the video, and this is something that you might want to just, you know, save and download. Like if you click on them, it'll take you to this whole thing about the margins, and it tells you the description. Actually here, really nice, it gives you, you know, basically according to Chicago Turabian, it's all there, what you need to do and how you want to be able to, an inch here, an inch on top, and an inch on the left and right margin, and then underneath. So this is really helpful when to look at it. And it's like I said, it's all there, the title page, how that looks like, gives you explanation. So this is really nice because it helps you understand why you're doing this, or why, and not necessarily why, but this is the specifications according to Chicago and Turabian as to how you want to set this. As you notice, the title, if it's a two-line title by a colon, it's all it's in bold, and the main words are capitalized. Then the next section, you have space in between, will be just the student's name, the name of the course, and the date of the assignment being turned in. One of the things that will be helpful in, you know, if I was teaching the next class, your instructor will set this, but in the classes that I teach, any of the essays that you turn in during the week, I have students put it already in this format, you know, getting themselves used to having a title page, you know, setting their margins on their paper, because the more practice you have, by the time you need to do the final paper for the course, this is kind of something that's almost like second nature to you. But these are kind of tip sheets for you on the main text, you know, again, description. So take time. You can see how a block quotation is done, and how you need to indent a ½ inch for the beginning of the paragraph. And so this is really helpful to have. So those are tip sheets, right, that you have on these different areas, bibliography, footnotes. The footnotes are important. This is what you're going to be utilizing, how you put a footnote, and then it's going to go at the bottom of the page, and you're going to say, how do I do that? You know, Word has it already for you, and I'm going to show you just in a minute how that works. And so this is the tip sheet. So when you went into this particular, let me just show you where this is at. Formatting and citations and the tips on formatting, and these are those tip sheets that you go into. Then I do have, this is a very important thing that is a disclaimer, and it's important for you to know. Some students, at this juncture, you should be aware of this, but plagiarism is something that you need to avoid. And that's basically, it can be unintentional and sometimes intentional. I've actually had to bring to the attention of students, not necessarily in NSBT, but in other places that I've taught. And it is a very serious thing that you do. And you need to be mindful of this. In some other institutions, students can fail a course if they plagiarize it, but the process, it depends on each institution. My policy usually is to just bring it to the attention of the student, say, hey, it looks like you are plagiarizing. You may not realize it, and you need to actually redo this and make sure that you give credit. What really happens when you plagiarize is that you may unintentionally be using the ideas of another writer without giving that particular writer the credit for the idea. And that's sometimes when it's just you're paraphrasing. Now, when you are quoting, that obviously the quotation marks already, we know that you're quoting, but you know, if you're citing someone, you use quotation marks, but there is no citation, and then you are missing a part there. You know, because are you trying to say that this is you, or who is it? So when you do quotation marks, you might gotta make sure you cite it. That's why you put a footnote to make sure that you're giving credit to the individual. So you know, that's why you want to look at this really careful. It gives you examples of what it means to be what is plagiarism. Dr. Hogan, do you want to say anything about plagiarism?
Yeah, because in the institution I was in, it was very big, especially in the master's program. Taking out a that or the or a pronoun does not constitute non-plagiarism. Because students, you know, you get tired, and I'm like, oh, I don't want, but you have to really make sure you give credit. I would always ask on the side in the comment if it was something, how do you know? How do you know? And so when they knew that, they knew they needed a citation, because my question is, how do you know this? How do you know? If you're learning and you have some new thoughts, and we can tell after reading so many papers. There's also a program called Turnitin.
Yes.
And you can put your paper right on Turnitin, and it will tell you what percentage of plagiarism, and that depends on the institution.
No.
The institution I came from, they allowed 20% plagiarism. No. So anything over 20%, they would have to rewrite. But the website is called Turnitin, and it will let you know how much, or if at all, if there's any plagiarism.
Yeah. You know, and like Dr. Hogan says, we read so much that sometimes the materials that you're using, we've come across those and we know, and it's not difficult. You know, I catch it all the time. I can easily, I can demonstrate to you that if you copy and paste a section of a paper or even a quote, and I put it on Google search, it'll take me to the source of where that came from. So, I mean, you know, that's something that you know, I have, you know, one of my last courses I taught for another institution, I had 2 students that plagiarized, and they failed their final paper because they did, theirs was about 80% plagiarism, and it's not acceptable at that point. So just be aware of this. This is just for you to realize that if you do it unintentionally, you probably will be brought to your attention, and you will, you know, your instructor, your professor will we'll have a discussion to you about that. But realize that we have already inserted it, and it's part of our, even in the student handbook as well as in the in your syllabus, there'll be statements concerning this. So just be mindful of that. And where I want to end tonight is just is to show you this here. Is this handout is probably your best friend, because what I did here, it's very nice. You could actually open it up here, or you can download it. But what I've done is the very things that you're going to need just for your papers that you'll find in this handout. This is we use note bibliography. That means when there's two that Chicago can do. The other one is I believe the other one is what is it? Author and date. It's called author date.
Author date. Mhm.
Which, maybe some of you are used to that, where you put in parentheses the author's last name and the year, and you're good. But we're not utilizing that in Chicago. We're using notes bibliography, and that means that you're going to have footnotes, and then you're going to have a bibliography at the end of the paper. So again, remember those tip sheets? That's actually, you'll find the kind of the similar thing here, but what I ended up doing with those tip sheets, I made it into one, about 3 or 4 pages, that takes you, if you have either Chicago or Turabian, it takes you to the very sections of those books as to where you find this information. It's already found there. For example, the general format, this is found in Turabian A.1 section. And if you go to the table of contents, you'll find 8.1, and then you go to that page number, and it has all that information of the general format. The margins, I even go 8.11, 8.1.1, and then you'll find in Turabian, you'll find the margin. In Chicago, it's 2.10, that section, and that's when it tells you. So that's what I want to highlight for you. The page numbering, you'll find it in Turabian, and that's the section. In-text citations, which, like I said to you, we're going to be using footnotes. Here's a footnote. Here it explains footnotes in Turabian and also Chicago, and I also have a description here. So it's all highlighted for you in this one handout. Here, remember looking at the cover page or the title page. Here's the title of your paper and the subtitle of the paper. Your title of the paper may just be one line, and that's all. You don't have to have the colon and the subtitle. This is just if you had a subtitle, but it gives you the example here. If you notice, it's in bold and the main words are capitalized, like I told you. It has the various sections of where you want to find it in Turabian, your name, the course date, the course and the date of its, and where you submit it. Here's the bibliography format in Chicago from 14.61 to 14.84. You have the format of the bibliography as it's highlighted. And then also you have in title, the bibliography. Here's how you want to set it up, the way that you want to format the very thing of the spacing and the hanging indent. That means the hanging indent, basically, you know how when you begin the paragraph, you indent the beginning, but the hanging it's the second or third line. If you have more than one line, the following lines are indented. That's what a hanging indent is. So the following 9 lines are the ones that are indented. If you notice it, it's not the first line. So,
and Word does do that. Word will do it for you.
It does, yes.
Find it, and we might want to also show them if you have time, or maybe
yes, we're going to
insert the footnote, the number.
Exactly, and I'll do that right now. Now, this is really important. If there's any chart that you want to really always keep handy, this chart helps you try to realize how you want to organize the bibliographical information that you put in a footnote. It tells you exactly how you want to do it here. And then the same bibliographical information, the bibliography, you'll notice it's a little different than what it's placed in the footnotes. What students have done, sometimes they put the footnotes the way that it's supposed to be formatted in the bibliography and vice versa, or they just use the formatting of bibliography both in the footnotes and the bibliography, and they're wrong. They're going to be each different, slightly different, you'll notice as you look at that. That's why I wanted to highlight this, because this becomes for you a very condensed version of the big Chicago Turabian, but these are the essentials that you'll need to have within a paper. I tried my best to condense it within, what is it, 3 or 4 pages?
Yeah,
It's
you've
3
done
pages.
very well.
Yeah, 3
You've done really
pages,
well.
4 pages,
Mhm.
to try to do it. Now, the academic manuals you need, because see, this is really abbreviated. There's many more examples of the type of sources that you're gonna need to know how to format. And those academic Bibles, the Chicago and Turabian, will give you exactly you know, how you wanna do that. For example, how do I format a sermon?
Mhm.
I don't give you that here, but it will give you that example, or not example, but it will tell you how and give you the specifications on how you want to do that. So this handout is important. And so when you go here, you want to go ahead and click on that. Let me show you real quick. I'm going to go back to it. Yeah, so you could either download it here and make sure you just download it. It's downloading already and it's opened up, and then you can download it into your computer, and that way you have it or print it out and just keep it next to you, you know, so that you can always, you know, if you just use your computer, put it on your desktop so you can access it. And let me do the last thing. What I wanted to do is let's go into a paper, right? So right now I'm actually working, like I said, I'm working, I finally started working on this article, which I need to print it in by this month. So I already did my introduction, which thankfully I've done. So now this is an example. They're wanting what is called author date. And this is an example here. This is several authors. So I just used the title of the book, and that's the year, but that's not what you're gonna do for the bibliography. But I want to show you real quickly. You already notice here how this is the format. You can tell there's an inch here, an inch here. And then on top, as far as the margins, you have the indent, you know, the half inch in the beginning of the paragraph, a half inch, right? A half inch at the beginning of the paragraph. But the thing that Dr. Hogan was saying, so let's say if I wanted to use, for example, if I wasn't using this particular style, which I need to use, I'm just gonna, for this case, I would want to put a footnote right here, because as you notice, I don't have any quotation marks here, but this information, I didn't just grab it out of the air. I actually took it from a source. And I did get this also information. If you notice, I got it in 2020, the United Nations, this is a database, estimated Ecuadorians consisted of 0.23% of the world population. So that's in my, that is giving credit to the United Nations. But this information here, I need to credit the source that I use, which tells me 95% in 2020 of Ecuadorians classified themselves as Christians in 2020. Okay, so if I go, this is where you want to go. You want to go into references. Okay, you see this? Look at this. Is there Chicago? And here it has 16 edition. Depends what version you have. But still, you want to utilize it. So go ahead and click that. And then it says insert footnote, right? Boom. I have here the footnote, and it automatically takes me to the bottom where I need to put in the information. Now, that's why I said what's important that I have this information, especially, let's see, here, if I want to put this bigger so you can see it, and I can make this a little bigger too. Let me make this a little bigger. If I make that a little bigger, let's see if it lets me make it a little bigger here. There we go. Oh, that's a little bit too big. Make that a little bit smaller, but not too small. Okay, that's good right there. So in the footnotes, I realized entries are in the same order they appear in the text. Begin with the entry of one note. That's what I've done. First author's name first, last. So, and then list all up to 3. Use detail for more than if there's more than 4 authors, use a comma between the authors and title, use a comma between the articles, titles, and title of a larger container. Offset publishing information with parentheses, include page numbers for all entries. So that would look like in this particular, let me go back. In this one, I don't have all that information, but let me show you. I think I have something already in my, let me go back here real quick. Let's see. I'm gonna do this real quick. I'm just gonna show you real quick. This looks like so. All right, so this is another one that I've actually, this is my dissertation, but what I want to show you is what the footnotes look like. Okay, so let's say, for example, in my second footnote here, I do put a quote. Ernst Troeltsch's historical sense that there is a mutual interrelation of all historical developments. That's a direct quote. Where did I get that information? Here at number 2, first name, last name, comma, title, the title of the book, as you look at that handout, let me look at that handout real quick. Title, okay, parentheses, okay. Author first name here, title of the book, it's an italicized. You see that? It's an italicized. So this is the example. When you look at, if it's one author, you have the footnote number, which is there, the author's first name, last name. The title of the book is italicized. Then you have in parentheses, the publishing city, publisher, year of the publication, comma, page number, reference, period. Okay, let's see if I go into that document again to show you. It's not this one. Let me go back. Here's this one. Ernst Troeltsch, right, comma. Then I have the title of the book in italicized. There's a comma because it's translated book by James Luther Adams and Walter F. Benz. But then there's no comma after that because, for example, there shouldn't be a comma here, but there is because I put the translator in that particular case. But in parentheses, I have the location, right, the city. Then I have the publisher, comma, the year, and then I close it with the parentheses, comma, and then the page number. When you go back to that particular, it tells you, right, footnote number, author's first name, last name, title of the book, there's no comma, there's the parentheses, publishing city, publisher, comma, year of the publication, close the parentheses, comma, and then the page number reference. And here's the
Period.
example.
And periods. You have to keep those periods in there.
At the end. So that's why it's important for you. What I'm gonna do, I thought I had done it in this one, and I think I did it before. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let me see if it's here. No, I don't think I did. Let me see in the files real quick. Oh, here it is, template.
Yeah, I think you did.
Template formatted for you. So let me see. So you can download, look, it's gonna say download in original Word document. And when you open this up as a Word document, it's right there. And what I think what Dr. Hogan, I'm gonna make this smaller so you can see what it is. So you already have, if you download this and you keep it as your template, you can always do this. You can go save as, and let's say this is for one of your classes, essay 1. You can save it on your desktop. Okay, it's saved. You're always going to have this template. You can always go back to it, and then what you need to just go in here is you just go in and basically put in the title that you want. That's going to be for that paper. Here you go in and you change your name. You put the title of the course. and the date that it's used. Then you go on, and here you basically, you can use the very formatting. This is your intro. You just need to use another content, right? But what's very nice about it, let's say, for example, what you want to do is, let's say, keep this like this. Say you want to delete this, right? And you start to work on your own. Say you're writing your own text, right? This is what you're writing, period. You're writing. And let me go another period, and you're writing, and then all of a sudden you're coming to your first footnote. Go ahead, and what I would do, since it's already for you, and go ahead, just to give you an example for your first one, if it happens to be a book, right? I could think it is a book. You can go up and use that. It's already here. It is a book, and what you'll need to go in here is change out. If it's a different book, it's already formatted for you. You just want to make sure you replace this information with the information that is the book that you're using. I think I use here, this one's an article. So if you happen to have an article, here's an example of an article too. So it's what I'm saying to you, it's already formatted. You can use this as a template, but make sure you change out, the rest of the stuff. Here's the bibliography as to books and articles, and you can change those out. But the nice thing is that it's already formatted for you, and you can utilize this. Okay, so let me show you how you're gonna say, I'm not gonna say that. How did you get there, Dr. Nolivos?
Yeah.
Let me go back and
Yeah, right.
all right, so, okay, so you're in, all right, say you come into your research skills and you just opened it up. This is the page, and you got lessons. Just go to files and see where it says template for a paper in Notes Bibliography. Click on that. And when you click on that, make sure you download it, but you want to make sure you download it as the original Word. And then you open it up. And what I would recommend, I would save this. This is what I would do, just so you know. Save as. I'm going to save this in my desktop as my template, right? Save there. Then whenever, let's say I'm working on something for my classes, I can go to, let's say that's my son. I go to my desktop, and I can find there's my template. And now if I use this, what I can do is I can go back in and save as, essay 2, essay 3, essay 1, or whatever essay number it is, and you can save it. For example, watch what happens. I'm gonna save it on my desktop or wherever. I just wanted to show you this. Now I have these two, and when I open and when I look, I have still the template and I have the essay 2. I'll always keep this because this is the one that I'm going to use as my template. And this is the essays that I'm going to utilize it for. There's the first one, here's the second one, and I've used the same template. You see that? Let me put it as a list here. Essay 1, essay 2, and here's my template down there. All right. Well, I'm going to just give you, this is recorded. You're going to be able to watch this. This is one that you probably do want to review as many times as you want, because I'm going to give you the link to this, and it's going to, and don't worry, if you just go back, and I would say take the last 20 minutes of this video and just watch it carefully, the steps that I took, so that you can also do it when you go into that tutorial, and just make sure that you download that handout that I did for Notes Bibliography, and then also go to Files and go to that the template for a formatted paper that you can use. Okay. Any questions or comments before we close tonight?
I enjoyed the class.
It's a lot, but it's gonna get, it will get easier.
Yeah.
It will. But
Yeah.
you will need the manual, because citing videos, citing person communications, they're all cited differently in the bibliography. So that's why I said you need the book.
Yeah.
Because you're not only going to use books and articles, but you'll be using other resources
Yep.
for your papers. And so you'll need it. but it will get easier, I'm telling you. It
Yeah,
will.
and then you have us. We're gonna be
Yeah,
able to
just
kind of give
email
you
us,
directly how to
and
do that, and you have questions, you feel
show
free
and
to
talk. Yeah,
email
absolutely.
us and write us. You're not alone, okay? I mean, it's a lot of information. We understand that.
Yeah.
That's why we wanted to kind of shake you up in these 2 weeks. That way, when you kind of go into your first week, you're like, oh man, there's a lot of stuff. But like I told you, it's gonna take a few weeks, and then all of a sudden, it's like, oh man, it doesn't feel so hard to pedal this bike, you know? I'm
Yeah.
starting to get the momentum and the rhythm. Some of you may, some of you might be like my brother, got on it and started riding. Some of you may be like me. It takes me almost the whole course before I got it, I did it, so we're at different places, and it's okay. That doesn't mean that you're less or you don't know. It's just
Yeah.
we learn differently, and that's already something that's part of being human beings. So.
That was a great explanation, how you broke it down. So I get it now.
Good.
Understand, yeah.
I just wanted to ask, you say it's Chicago and Turabian.
Mhm.
They two different things or
Right.
the same thing?
Okay, so that's a good question. If you spend time and you read it, you can go back to that part of the tutorial and look at both of them.
Mhm.
Chicago is actually, I'd say it's the main version. It's big. It's probably like 400 pages, 400 or 500 pages, somewhere on there. Turabian is a smaller manual based on Chicago.
Okay.
And so you need both, and especially Turabian does a really good job for us in the area of theology. So you want to have both, because Turabian won't have everything Chicago does. So what you'll do, especially for the sources, Chicago gives you so many examples of how you want to format certain sources. Like, like the whole thing about how do I do a book that's been translated? You have the main author, but then you have also the people that translate it. As you saw in my dissertation, Chicago gave me the information to do that, so there's going to be, or if it's a series, it's volumes. And I mean, it's just, there's things that you can't even think of. And nowadays with the new editions, they have everything that's electronic too, digital, formatting is also part of that. So.
Okay.
But again, so in your essay for tomorrow evening, we are not asking you to format in Chicago or Turabian, because you don't have those. We just want you to at this point, we want you to just write according to what the question is asking you and what you've read, and then we'll give you feedback. As you move forward and you go into your other classes, we want you now then to realize, okay, I do have these parts of formatting that I need to incorporate in my papers as I move forward. So don't stress yourself right now for tomorrow evening's paper that it needs to be in Chicago. If some of you want to try it, feel free to do so, okay? Because it's a good practice to begin to do that, and then we can give you feedback on that. So I would say I want to encourage you, but don't set yourself back if you're not comfortable yet. But I would say, if you feel like you want to try, go ahead, because then we can give you feedback on that as well. So,
is there a quiz also that's for this section?
For this section, I think quiz number 3. Yeah, there's a quiz 3 for the video. Yes.
Okay.
Quiz 3
So, all right.
for the video.
For this orientation 3 part 1,
Okay.
you watch the video, and then the quiz is based on that video. So make sure you watch the video first before you take the quiz.
I did.
Yes, to take the quiz.
If you take the quiz and you're like,
And then,
where's all the
I failed the quiz because I didn't look at the video.
yeah.
know.
Yeah.
It's like, it said
in one
take
of
now. So I took it now.
There you go.
in one of the quiz, I think I missed the part where the name that they had Dr. Bernard, and I said I didn't see that, so I just left it blank.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay.
I'm not alone.
Oh,
Right.
I didn't read that.
Well,
Since you
well, I'm
failed
glad.
the quiz,
Look, I'm excited for this group, because this is the only group that after
Yes.
watching the research, they're laughing, because most after they watch the they're like,
Oh my,
They're like this. They're like, oh my gosh, this is
They
what
tried
I'm
to
into.
get- Yeah, they tried to get all this information in like 2 or 3 days.
There's a lot of information.
Oh,
Yeah,
gosh.
before their classes started.
Yeah. So we had to you know, have the prayer of resurrection in that, at the ending of that meeting. So, you know, bring people back to life.
Mm.
Oh, goodness.
But yes, I'm encouraged. You're going to do fine, and we're learning, and you're learning, and so we want to. And as we're going through this process, anything comes to mind that you think that would help, let us know, because it'll then help the next groups that are coming down the road. So,
Yeah.
so we learn that way.
Okay.
And I would like to say, you have to start thinking that you are a theologian and that you are a scholar.
Yeah.
A friend of mine started a school, and from first grade, they consider themselves scholars.
Yes.
So now they're at a point where there's nothing I can't do. I'm a
Right.
scholar, so I know that I can find out. You have to retrain your thinking
Yes. Yes.
that you are a theologian and you are a scholar. You're just developing these skills. But this, because, you know, especially as adults, we kind of get caught up in so much stuff.
Yeah.
That what we can't do. You
Mm.
know, and we confess, God, I can do all things through Christ. But then on the inside, we say, like, can I really do this? No, I am a theologian.
Yeah.
God put me here for a reason.
I am a theologian.
I am a scholar.
I'm a scholar.
And when you start confessing that, look in the mirror and start saying it to yourself,
Amen.
you'll believe it, and you'll approach your assignments differently.
Yes.
Amen.
Thank you.
Amen.
Amen.
Yes,
Amen.
appreciate
Well,
that.
Mhm.
Scholar Colleen, would you close us with a prayer tonight?
Yes. Heavenly Father, Yahweh, thank you so much for choosing us.
Yes, Lord.
Thank you so much for the sacrifice and contribution of Dr. Nolivos and Robin Hogan and my fellow theologians.
Amen.
Amen.
We praise you, Lord God, before the foundation of the world. You had us in mind. You knew this day would come in this incredible season. And you had us to have the heart, in spite of all that we are confronted with, to step forward and not let the naysayers detract us. We thank you for putting perseverance in us, and we lean on you to see us through this period, that we can fully be what you have designed us to be. We look forward to coming together again, and we lean into the work that you have before us, and we give thanks in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ.
Amen.
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 Amen. So we're excited. We look forward to your writings and for Thursday. So keep up the good work.
Okay.
God
Amen.
bless
Thank
you.
you.
Good
Good
night,
night.
everyone.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Yes. Good night.